No, no. That's wrong. Dixie Diamonds 295. Wednesday, the 5th of January 2000. Mets 6:24 a.m. Dixie 3:24 p.m. Though Balloony and Ziz human friends were still concerned for Ziz's safety, Ziz returned to Dixie late on New Year's Day had been a joyful reunion which Karen Block and Paul Peltz had shared with their unique friends' telepathic talents, and then in the flesh when Big B had floated over to see the Cooktown couple the following day. By the 2nd of January, the brouhaha in Brisbane had faded from international news status and was superseded in national news in France and international news elsewhere when a passenger train from Trondheim collided head-on with one from Hamar in southwest Norway on the 4th of January. The collision killed 19, and the preliminary investigation attributed the horrid incidents to the northbound train that had failed to observe orders to halt and wait for clearance. Despite the enormity of the charges facing Brentsey, his bond hearing had been expedited to a miraculous 4th of January, and Balloony had a front row seat via his observation-only telepathic link with Crown Prosecutor Edmund Barton. Judge Kamari Mitchell had presided, and Governor Pesterson, along with the U of Q Chancellor Duncan Maxwell, had been among the noteworthy who had been in attendance. Amidst rumors of scandal, influence peddling, and well-placed campaign donations, Brent Carter Brentsey's bail hearing had pitted Barton's hand-picked prosecutor, Patsy Volpe, against Brentsey's defense team led by attorney Mattern Hell. Volpe had pushed for Brentsey to remain in jail while awaiting trial due to flight risk, which in Hell had countered by Brentsey's ties to the community. After considerable back and forth, and Hell convinced Judge Mitchell to allow Brentsey to post a surety, which then led to further discussion over the size of said surety. Volpe petitioned for the unprecedented amount of $1 million, which in Hell both berated and countered with a $250,000 amount. After additional wrangling, Brentsey leaned over to Hell and whispered in his ear. Brentsey's words caused his barrister's eyes to widen and had to retreat on his neck before he recollected himself and said, "If it please the court, Mr. Brentsey is willing to advance $500,000 of his own money," which the judge quickly deemed adequate, which, in addition to Brentsey having to place his passport in police custody, led to Brentsey's release. On the morning of Wednesday the 5th, news of the surety again placed Brentsey in the headlines of what the press had begun calling the Vulture of Theology case. Chief Prosecutor Edmund Barton and his 3 suspects witnesses, David Jones, Nishan Chaim-Even, and Richard Woodcock, were all hopeful that Judge Mitchell's granting of bail to Brentsey would influence Judge John Petter-Lewis, who was to hear their pleas on the afternoon docket at the QE2 Courts of Law Complex, to do the same. Though only a bond hearing, Edmund Barton had asked prosecutor Patty Aronson to keep him informed of trial details, and he had passed on the when and where information to Peter Norden in the hopes that he and Norden could display support for the Grafton Three, as the press had dubbed them. The proximity of police headquarters to Brisbane's law complex greatly facilitated this show of support, and Kelbar joined his peacekeeper associates in court, where they sat 3 in a row just behind defense attorney Brad Wolfe and his 3 defendants. Balloony again observed the courtroom through Barton's eyes and ears as Prosecutor Aronson detailed the charges against the Grafton Three and recommended they be held without bond. Brad Wolfe countered that the 3 pawns should be released on their own recognizance, and after some back and forth, Judge Mitchell had set surety at $50,000 each. Until and unless they were able to arrange for surety, the Grafton Three were to be returned to jail. Barton sent Wolfe and Norden a text asking them to confer with him after Jones, Chaim-Even, and Woodcock had left the court's complex, which both men did in short time.